Again, please remember that without practice and without putting in effort, we will not be able to succeed anywhere, right? So there is no key for shortcut. For anything, you will always have to have practice and have the confidence that you can attend interviews in good faith, right? Having confidence in yourself. So I guess did y'all any one of y'all have any mock interviews anytime, or any mock interview sessions anytime? All right, great. So you will be knowing that, it is a scary thing sometimes where they suddenly ask you to introduce yourself, or suddenly they ask you to say a few things about yourself, right? So to simply put, there are two type of questions which they ask, and the first question they ask is what, right? Whether they ask you to introduce yourself, they will have what in their question. What is your name, what is your qualification, and which place you are from. And the second kind of questions you usually have is with why, right? So if you say, I chose MPC, I chose BPC, I chose home science, or I chose accounting, they would ask you why, right? So when you are answering, there are two things which need to be very clear. That is the what. You need to know about yourself, and remember, when you're answering about yourself, nobody would know better than you about yourself, whether it is your name, whether it is your background, whether it is your qualification. Similarly, no one would know better than you as to why you have chosen a particular subject. Why do you want to become an engineer, or a doctor, or a teacher, or a corporate individual? That why you should be able to answer very, very confidently, right? So when you're able to answer these two questions, half your interview is won, right? Half your interview is won during this period of time. Now, sometimes our efforts are in places where the outcome is probably difficult, or it's not practical, right? Sometimes while I was giving a lot of these sessions, when I ask people what do they want to be in their career or do in their career, someone says, I want to be a software professional, but they have done their BCom, right? So that's not possible, though probably they have to do one or two courses and they can slowly get into that line over a period of time, but it is not possible to jump from one stream to the other. So you need to have a very, very practical goal as to what studies you have done and what kind of job you can get, right? There are possibilities sometimes, even if you are a BCom person, but you have done a lot of technical courses, C++, Java, Python, and a lot of other things, they might still give you an opportunity, right? But if there is a person who studied engineering and who's done those courses, and versus a person who's done BCom and done those courses, if they both go for an interview, obviously you all will know who would be the first choice, right? The person who has studied engineering, because they would have their level of knowledge would slightly be very, very different. Hence, it is very important that whatever goal you have, it is good to have goals, but whatever goal you have is a very, very practical goal, right? So you need to ensure that your efforts are put in the right stream and right direction. Yes, if you guys are just passing out your 10th pass out, and that time you say that I want to become a software professional, it's very possible, because you will take your MPC in your inter, and after that you will in your graduation you will do engineering 4 years, right? So that's very practical and possible. So you need to ensure that you keep your timelines in mind, and you also keep your goal in mind, right? Now, for any job, eligibility is something which is very, very important. What do we mean by eligibility? Eligibility has multiple segments, where it starts off with education, right? Like I just mentioned about engineering and BCom examples. Your education is one which will help you gain a certain level of knowledge. Now, apart from that, experience also plays a very, very big role. When you attend interviews, they will ask you scenario based questions. Now, if you have done job for 1, 2 or 3 years or more than that, then we can ask you, you will be able to answer the questions we ask you about scenario based. That what would you do in a situation which is very difficult and you have a lot of pressure? How do you manage work and things like that, right? But you would say that I don't have work experience. How will I have experience? But I think that's a wrong notion. Experience is not only professional experience, but also personal experience in life, which helps you grow and mature in a lot of things, right? I'm sure many of y'all or few of y'all must have personal experiences where your personal life is very difficult, right? Where there is a lot of pressure, financial pressure, or pressure of managing yourself alone, or managing your siblings, staying away from parents. So all these experiences teach you, right? Help you take ownership. A lot of people told me that in their villages they saw child marriages which are happening. So they from their schools and colleges, they went and spoke to the parents of people of those children, and they made child marriages stop. Now, I think this is a very, very big skill and important thing, right? Where you learn so much. You learn how to take ownership. You learn to fight obstacles. You learn to communicate with people. Now, these are something which are experiences, right? And see, it does not have to be so drastic or very big. In your college or school, you might have an opportunity where you had to lead an event, where you had to organize something, or where you had to monitor something, right? And such experiences make you learn about patience, strategy, planning, communication. And these are the experiences which have a very high weightage in your interview when you speak, right? So educational knowledge is good. Whatever you always study in your college, you will have 1 or 2 questions which the interviewer will definitely ask you on that. If you study BCom and I ask you about a debit and credit question, you should be able to answer that, right? Or if I ask an medical student, a BSc student about a BSc topic, or an engineering person about engineering topic, you all should confidently be able to answer that. And if you are not able to answer, then you will lose your points and marks over there, right? Similarly, experiences, we will go through some of these kind of questions which will help you prepare for interviews. The next thing is knowledge. Now, what is knowledge? You would say that education knowledge we already have, and you're saying experience also that gives us knowledge. So what is a separate knowledge? Now, when we speak about knowledge over here, it is not only academic, right? It has to be general knowledge. Please be aware of your surroundings. Please be aware about your state, about your country, about your city. It's very important that you have awareness. The other kind of knowledge which you can have is very general based knowledge, right? Whether it is politics, whether it is surroundings, whether it is anything else, you should have minimum knowledge where you can speak about it, and also knowledge about the few trainings and topics which could be relating to your subject, right? So always be on top of that. Now, education, experience, and knowledge gives you skills. Now, skills can be and like I mentioned, skills can be an attribute of your education. It can be an attribute of your experience or your knowledge, where you self-learn a lot of things, right? Those are the things which you develop. And in skills, we can also have an emotional quotient to it. An emotional quotient is where we have technical skills and where we have behavioral skills, right? So skills can be segregated in two parts: technical skills and behavioral skills. In behavioral skills, they will try to see whether you are confident, whether you can think quickly on your feet, whether you can think smart, whether you can work in a team, whether you can be a leader, whether you have those leadership qualities, right? So when you start off your career, of course, you're not going to talk about leadership over here, that you suddenly won't get in a leadership role, but they will definitely try to look for some qualities in y'all which will show that you can think beyond yourself, where you can help others, where you can work in a team, you can collaborate, people can listen to you and can work together, right? So when they're testing you, there are these behavioral skills and technical skills questions which can be asked, and whatever answer you give, please remember, they will ask you why for it. Why did you choose this? Why are you reacting like this? Why do you think like this? And you should be able to logically justify yourself, right? Now, like I just spoke, we have types of interviews, that is technical, behavioral, and we will have an HR round. What is an HR round? Basically, an HR round will try and check whether you're a flexible person, whether you are willing to learn, whether you're adaptable. Now, what do we mean by adaptable, right? Being adaptable is where we are in any environment and we can adjust in that environment. Say some people, you guys might have to go to a different city to work, and you should be able to adjust in that office environment in that city and able to work, and you should be able to keep pace with the work and the work culture, right? So HR rounds are mostly that, to check whether you're confident, you're flexible, whether flexibility is whether you're open to work in different locations, whether you're open to work in different shift timings. When you are, a key tip over here, when you are starting your first job and you are going for the interview first time, always be flexible. The most important thing for you at that moment of time is to get that job. So be open to travel to different cities, be a boy or a girl, be open to different shift timings, because a lot of company provide a lot of services and all of that, like cabs and stuff like that. So they provide you that kind of ease where you can utilize their services and comfortably work. So be willing to learn. Willing to learn is, I want to only work as this, I want only that kind of work. It shouldn't be like that, right? You should be able to work. I from the time I started my career, I have close to about 13 years of experience. And when I started off my career, I started off from an custom house agent which dealt with exports and imports, and today I am doing totally different. I'm an ops manager, and I deal with operation work. So it's, when I started off, it's very different. Over a period of time, I've worked as a customer service agent. Since I know French, I've worked as a French associate in a banking firm. So I've had a lot of experiences, and I was able to learn from these experiences, right? And I was able to learn because I was very open to learn, willing to learn. There was nothing I felt that I cannot learn and I cannot do. Anything which was given to me, I always took it as a challenge, right? So that is what HR tries to see over here: flexibility, willingness, whether they are adaptable. And salary package, I think when you're starting off, that's not very important. It's very important for you to gain experience and upgrade your skills to a certain level that the next job you go to, you don't have to even struggle too much to ask, and they would give you a good pay package, right? Again, technical skills, like I spoke about, you need to know about your course, your subject. You should be very strong in that. You should be able to answer anything because of concerning to your subject and your studies. Behavioral, in behavioral, they will focus on, like I mentioned, your communication. How are you speaking? Whether you're confident, whether your attitude is good, or whether you're professional. Sometimes when we enter a room, we'll not ask permission, we'll sit down, we'll sit in a posture which is not great. So all these things also come in picture, right? And we'll go through that in our following slides. But this is more or less the segregation between technical, behavioral, and HR. Guys, do you all have any questions for me? Are you all able to understand, or do you want me to go slow, or explain something more in detail? Good. All right. Yeah. So now the next important thing is, what should we do? Right? What should we do before an interview, during an interview, and after an interview? Now, like I told, right, self-awareness is very important. So before any interview, you need to know about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, uh, what is the most important thing which makes you a strong person, which makes you think the way you think, right? So knowing yourself is very important. uh, of course, building your resume, keep your resume very, very simple. Do not write, I like dancing, singing, and cricket, and that's good. But what is important for you while you're preparing your resume is that you write about your trainings, your skills, what kind of, um, again, like I mentioned, not everyone will have technical skills, right? Some people might have a certain background, and they have some courses and that kind of technical skills which they've picked up. Many a times you might not have those technical skills, but you can also write some positives about your behavior, that you're a very adaptable person, right? This comes under behavioral skills. You're very adaptable, you're a quick learner, you're very honest, you're a very dedicated and committed person. So these are some important part of behavioral skills, right? And it's important that you mention this while you're speaking in the interview, and also in your resume, right? Yeah, sometimes you can write about your MS Excel and MS Doc, and those are some basic skills. Your computer typing skills, those are basic things which are required. Apart from that, also ensure to mention about your behavioral skills, where you mention that you are a quick learner, you're adaptable, you're easy to mingle, things like that, right? So while you're building up your resume, ensure to write those points very crisp. Do not have 2-3 pages of resume. Try to keep it one or maximum two. Talk about your trainings which you have done, any separate trainings which you have picked up during that course to support your subjects. That will also be very helpful for you folks. And the next thing which is extremely important, and few people miss doing that, is whichever organization you are interviewing for, you need to know about that organization. You need to know what is the company about, how many services they provide, whether they have 10, 15, 12 different kind of services every company provides. Like if you see Cognizant itself, it will be in IT, it is in consulting, it is in finance. So every company or any company will have multiple domains and services. So you need to know that basic thing, that what does the company do. Of course, you need to know when the company started, how it started, etc. Know about the location of the company, where is the company, etc. How many locations they have. And you might find this odd, but every company has a page which they talk about what do they offer for the employees, how do they make their employees their priority, and what are they doing for them. So there is an HR section where they would say that we provide XYZ kind of services for the employees. We have a paternity leave, we have a maternity leave. So basically a paternity leave is, earlier you knew that if a girl is pregnant, she can go on leave. But here, even a man, if his wife is having a kid and he's having a kid, he can also go on a paternity leave of few weeks to take care, to support his wife, right? Similarly, there will be a lot of leave policies which would be women friendly policies, which make a safe environment for women. Like that, every company in their website will write a few things about it. And these are strong things which you should know, because when you know these things, and when a question is asked to you, why do you want to join this company, why do you want to join an XYZ company, you will be able to say that this company has been in the market for XYZ years, they are having so many services, so I have a lot of opportunity because of the number of services they provide. At the same time, they take good care of their employees, they have a lot of employee friendly policies, right? So when you speak about the company in different angles, that is the growth angle is because of the number of services they have, the location spread they have across India or outside India or both, because of that, and some employee friendly policies, they will think that you have enough knowledge of as to why you want to join a company, right? Any questions here on what you should do before an interview? Guys, any questions? See, guys, you all can ask me any question. Please remember, no question is a stupid question. It is important for you to clarify your doubt and learn out of it. So please do not hesitate in asking any questions to me. And if we have no questions, we can move to the next topic, that is, what do we do during an interview? Guys, any questions?
If you don't have any questions, you say don't have any questions.
All right, guys, you all can stop me in the middle of the session and ask me questions also, or if you all can, send it in the chat also, and I can respond to that during the meeting. So let's move to during an interview. What do we do during an interview, right? Now, it is very important, like, you make an impression. Now, there are two kinds of impression. One impression is when you enter a room, you make an impression, how the person is dressed, how he or she is walking, how they are sitting, how they are having eye contact, how they are shaking hands, how they are introducing themselves, right? And the second kind of impression is when you start talking, how are you communicating, whether you're communicating clearly or no, whether you are able to articulate what you're thinking, and what you're talking, does it make sense or it does not make sense? Is it informative or is it not informative? Or when you're trying to say one simple thing, but you're trying to say 3-4 lines for it, it's not very helpful, right? So there is something called power introduction. Now, what is power introduction? Power introduction means when you quickly introduce yourself in 2-3 lines and you exactly express and explain yourself to the person. Like, for example, if I'm applying for a research-based job, right? So also please ensure, keep in mind, when you are talking about yourself, be practical for the role you're applying. If you're applying for a research-based job and if you talk about, I want to become a professor, it does not make sense, right? Because if you want to become a professor, you will not be applying for that job. So please do not mention such things. Read the job description very, very well, and then modify your power introduction. For example, I would say, hi, good morning, my name is Sejal, and I'm very passionate about research. I am passionate about research and I've done XYZ trainings in research. I'm a very quick learner. I'm adaptable. I have a lot of leadership skills. I've been able to coordinate and work with my college folks on multiple programs, and I've identified I have a skill to talk to people and communicate, right? So when I'm talking about these things, I'm not talking about my family, my father, my sister, my mother, my background, which also you can talk about when the interviewer asks about your family more in detail. But what I have focused on is what I am passionate about. You can say I'm passionate about technology. I'm passionate about making apps. I've done so many trainings. I'm extremely adaptable. I'm hardworking. I'm committed. So when I use words like this, the interviewer will think, yeah, this is the kind of person I want. I want someone who's hardworking. I want someone who can learn quickly. And I want someone who has the zeal to learn and keep themselves updated, right? So that is a power introduction. I have just given some examples, but you can talk something which is relating to the job profile and something which has to do with your academics, right? Your subjects which you have taken. Now, sometimes you might have a question that, though I did my studies in engineering, I'm not getting a job in that, so I'm going for a non-technical role, which is fine. That also you can justify. You will be asked questions based on that you have done your engineering, but why are you going for a non-technical role? And you can be frank, that you can say that they're looking for people with experience. We have not been able to get through. So I have a lot of responsibility, personal and professional. I want to grow. So I want to take up another opportunity. I am very open to this. I'm open to learning. I'm passionate. I'm hardworking. You can give all that and you can justify. So as long as you are open to learn new things, the interviewer will not have an issue with your background and the role you are applying for. Please remember that. But whenever you're introducing yourself, it is not about your family or your hobbies. It is about what you can offer to the company, what benefit you can get to that company, right? Now, every employee does their small bit for the company to succeed, right? So whenever you say things like, I'm committed, I'm hardworking, I can quickly learn, it will show you are a very flexible person and you can adapt in any environment, right? So your power introduction should have these points and not anything else. About, yeah, if the interviewer is asking you, then you can speak about one or two hobbies which you have, and you can quickly give your background. You don't need to say, I have three siblings, one is studying, one is working. All that the interviewer does not really, because that's not going to help you in your job. So they're not very keen to know that information, and that would anyways be written in the resume you are giving in, right? So focus on showcasing yourself, because you will have that 15 minutes, and out of that 15-20 minutes, the first 3-4 minutes, how you carry yourself and how you introduce yourself will determine whether that interview will go for 20 minutes or whether that interview will finish in 5-6 minutes, right? So ensure that you keep power introduction. A subset of power introduction is self introduction. Again, like I mentioned in self introduction, speak about what are the trainings you have learned, what are the things you do to update yourself and keep yourself updated with that kind of knowledge for that kind of role. Why do you want to do this? Those are the things you introduce in self introduction, right? But I feel power introduction and self introduction are both combined together. And when you speak about very specific things. Don't go somewhere and talk about things which are not relevant for your job profile. Again, attire, when you enter, it's not important that you wear a new dress or a new shirt. It's not important. But what is important is, nowadays you have virtual interviews. You might have that online on camera. So even then, ensure that you're wearing something neat and clean, which is ironed. Comb your hair properly and neatly. It's not about makeup. It's not about new clothes. It's not about any of that, but it is about neat and clean look which you have. Even when you're going in person, sometimes they are, people don't see how their hair is combed or no, whether their dress is ironed or no. Ensure that you make your impression. That is also one impression, because how you keep yourself and treat yourself, many a times people think, when a job is given to you, if you are keeping yourself up to date, you will probably do your job also very well, neatly, cleanly, and timely. So that is why an impression makes a lot of difference. Ensure that you are neat, clean. If you are going in person, if you want to shake hands with the interviewer, please ensure your hand is not sweaty, it's not wet. Imagine if someone is shaking hands with you and they shake hands with a wet hand, no one will appreciate or like that, right? Sometimes you might have a sweaty hand. Some people have that problem, whether if they're nervous they will sweat, or they have some issue and their hands sweat, which is okay. Wipe your hand and then shake hands, right? Or just let them know that you have a sweaty hand, and you can just give a smile and then sit down. You don't need to shake hands all the time, right? But if you are, ensure that it is neat, clean and dry. Again, body language is very important. Knock the door and enter. Before sitting down, ask them if you can sit down. Have eye contact. Do not enter the room nervous, looking down right and left, pulling your ear, or adjusting your glasses, or playing with your hair, or biting your nails. Do not do any of that. Even if you're nervous, you need to hide it, right? You should not show the interviewer that you're nervous. Little nervousness is always okay, which is fine, but that should not stop you from speaking and expressing yourself. That should not stop you from because we don't always get that opportunity. Sometimes you might have 100 people sitting for that one role, right? So if you are nervous in that 5-10 minutes, that opportunity is gone. So do not be nervous. In your body language, look confident, right? Have an eye contact with the interviewer. Enter, sit down, smile. When you smile, you will also feel relaxed. The interviewer also will feel at ease to ask questions to you, right? And the next bit is communication. It is very important that you talk very clearly. Sometimes people are so nervous that what they are saying, the front person cannot understand. And at that point of time, they'll have so many people to interview. They'll give you a few minutes. If you're still not able to, gather yourself up and speak clearly, then they will move and call the other candidate. So ensure to speak very clearly. Some people might feel hesitant with English, right? They might not be very fluent. It is okay, right? You can say while you enter the room and when you're sitting, you can say, I'm not very fluent in English, but I am working hard on that. I'm practicing every day.